The Jeffries. Live now. Tēnā tātou katoa, now mai kouti kai, tēnei hui o ki wari a puri o Kāwhia. Greetings to you all. And welcome to Kāwhia's Community Board meeting for the last time for this trimester. I'd just like to call on Annie to say our opening. And our new board member. Just a thing.
He honore, he gloria ki te atua, he maungaronga ki te whenua. Karo pai ki nga tangata katoa, hāngai te atua he ngākau hau ki roto ki tīna o mātou. Whakatohungia te wairo tapu, hei awhinia he tohi i o mātou, o tēnei rā. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Kia ora, Annie. Thank you for that. A good start to our next trimester. I'd just like to acknowledge Mayor Max that's here today to say farewell to his favourite community board. You enjoyed your trips out here. And Annette Williams, Councillor Annette, she's retiring after a long and illustrious, seriously long and illustrious career. And a lot of that was involved in Kāwhia and in particular Altia. I know the work that you put in there 20 odd years ago, Annette, so thank you for that. And we appreciate the work that you've done out there, that's for sure. And I know Kāwhia appreciates the time that you put in there until you got too busy as Deputy Mayor. Tanya, head referee down there. Good to see Tanya, our CE here, right? There's a nice little block between us, so she can't give me the eye or meeting, you know? Right, I'm just moving on to the agenda. Well, and to the members of the public that are here, greetings. Thank you very much for coming to our last meeting before the new board takes over. I've got apologies from Hingaphiu, board member Hugh. I'll move that those be accepted. Do we have a seconder? Board member Harper. Public forum, there's no public forum items today. Late items, there's no late items, and the clear declarations of conflicts of interest, there's none of those. All right, we just confirmed the minutes of the last meeting. I'll move that they be accepted as a true and correct record. Do we have a seconder? Board member Harper. Is there any corrections notice that you'd like out of those minutes?
Just one comment, Mr. Chairman, on page 13, and it's we talked about, Councillor Jeffrey said the group from ODC will be meeting with TKO on the 19th of August to look at strategic outcomes, not just beach access. We had that meeting and it was a very positive meeting, and the outcome at this stage is that John McRae, who works for Deloitte, is to come back with a draft memorandum of understanding. What we're looking to do, what the parties are looking to do, is to form a joint committee with perhaps 3 from each party to progress the matters going through. So just to bring you up to date on that. Okay. So we're still waiting on that.
Everything else okay? Yep. Thank you. Moving on to item 39, which is 21 on our agenda, and that's a decision report for the cameras out of Conference Grove. All board members would have read that report. Jared, if you're online. Jared? Saw me before.
Sorry, just getting my camera sorted.
Jared?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, I'll take my report as read and just go through a couple of the main points with you all. This report was following some discussions at the community board meeting around the issues at Tom French Reserve down there. Since writing this report, my last trip out to Kāwhia, I had noted the activity had really died off down there following the appointment of a permanent police officer in Kāwhia. Following that stuff, it's led to my recommendation to hold off just for now and revisit this camera in March. But I'll hand it over for any questions.
Board member Harper, any questions?
No questions. I think I made my point clear. I don't know whether you want me to restate my point about them.
No, we're well aware of your views. Councillor Jeffries.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just a couple of points of clarification, Jared. Thanks for the report. Very good report. Thank you. Yeah, just on page 22 of the agenda, clause 4.4, where you talk about Tainui Kāwhia. I just wondered, has there been any discussions with TKI about the possibility of a camera on Kāwhia Road and sharing the cost of that? Are you able to answer that one?
So I have heard they've had private discussions with someone to install a camera, which is more at the start of the road. I'm not sure where that is at this stage, but if you follow my recommendation, we do look at it later on, then we can obviously have those conversations with TKI. We also don't want to double up on anything as a waste of money.
Okay, thank you. And just on 4.9,
yeah.
I don't expect you to answer this today, Jared, but can we receive confirmation from the police that they actually do monitor the main street cameras? And are those cameras that are referred to in 4.9, do they include the cameras at the wharf? And the last part of that question is, are the wharf cameras actually functioning and how often are they checked and maintained? So there's three parts to it. So you might want to have I'm quite happy for you to go away and come back to us on that one. You don't have to answer them now, but I just want some clarification.
Through you, Chair, I actually have some answers for that. So the police do monitor them. And they're constantly repaired when issues are needed. There was actually our camera guy, I think you know him, Terry Johnson, was actually out there last week doing some repairs. We just had some teething issues today, but we are setting up a link with the Starlink there, which will give our officer live view of the cameras, which, speaking with the officer out there, he was quite excited to get that. So we're working with Terry to get that, and that'll give even more monitoring capability and also give us capability back here to monitor a lot more as well. So we are upgrading what is there now, but we're just at the very early stages and just going through some teething issues at the moment.
That's great, and that's very encouraging. So thank you for that. And can you keep us updated with that as things move on?
Yes, no problems. Any updates I can go out as an email to the board.
Very good. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Member Walsh.
Yeah, just looking back on page 21, 2.4, it says Tom French Reserve is designated as a district reserve, and the Kāwhia Community Board do not have delegation over this reserve. So how much money are we asking for the community board to put in towards this if it does go ahead? It's not our delegation.
The recommendation, we can recommend it, yeah, based on those costs that are there in 2.5, but then it will still have to be approved and ratified by council.
All right. And do we still think it's necessary now we have a policeman living here?
That's based on staff recommendations on then point number 3. That's the recommendation, is that we wait and see what the result is of the policeman being here. So that's
sure he's actually living here. Oh yeah, he is living here. I've seen him a couple of times.
too busy chasing everyone.
Until there's been some thieves around again.
All right, no, thank you. And no, I have no questions either. So the staff recommendation is that the Kāwhia Community Board receives the report and recommend the incoming board revisit the need for a camera in March 2026 as part of the annual planning process. I'll move that. Do I have a seconder?
Yep.
Seconded, Councillor Jeffries. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Information only reports.
Thank you.
There are none. Public excluded, there are none. Board members' updates. You can have first go if you like.
Oh, okay, thank you. We all starting some.
You don't, this is not your valedictory. No, you get another crack. You know.
If you'll give me a minute.
Okay, board member Harper,
I'm
have
ready.
you got your glasses, please? Board member Harper, put on your glasses case, please.
No. Okay, I'm still trying to assist the Kāwhia group to find a garden area. And I believe that sharing the nursery area would be a good plan. I managed to clear some branches off Hotoroa Street during that storm because it had blocked half the road off, so I cut them up and threw them over the bank. And I managed to get some mulch for myself and for the Kāwhia group from our trees. Had an interesting conversation there about local contractors and getting preferred wood and all the rest of it. I did try and correct the misinformation. I feel that it would have been better if Mark Lewis had been there. That was a big step that day to remove those trees. There was a whole lot of shenanigans going on, people yelling out of their car doors and telling us to leave those effing trees alone and all the rest of it. And I think it would have been a much better scenario if we'd had Mark present, and he may have stopped some people from taking wood that they weren't really entitled to take, but they seem to have anyway. And it just the comments of some people were just very, very disappointing, but it just sat nicely with all the texts and phone calls I got when we had our first attempt to do it, and it wasn't successful. So I guess I'm getting used to it, but I was disappointed, and I thought that perhaps the council may have been able to put something on their website about what the intentions were for that thing, so that some of that misunderstanding didn't go on in the community. So I think a little bit more clarification around that may have been better. I did attend the council meetings over the seawall and the beach access, and I've had a number of inquiries about people who are concerned about that bylaw with requiring tanks and filters and all the rest of it. People are quite concerned about that. I still don't understand why that bylaw included the fact that people had to put that filter system on for that water to go back into their drinking system.
I would say that's something that we can address with the new board.
Yeah, okay, well, that's good. But as I say, I had a number of inquiries about that. I managed to put up some sip and sew posters up around town. And I attended the candidates meeting. That was pretty good, I thought. There was some good stuff said, especially by some members of the regional council and all the mayoral candidates, of course, and the Mary Ward candidates. Yeah, so, and I'm looking forward to the next 3 years. I think it'll be very interesting times. So that's my report.
Thank you very much, Barbara. And thank you very much
And I
for committing
short for you, Jeffrey.
to another 3 years. Councillor Jeffries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, very briefly, I have leave of absence until the 16th of September, so anything prior to that, I'm not familiar with, obviously. 19th of September, we had the candidates meeting in Kāwhia here, with Richard has referred to, and that was a good night. There was, I think, over 60 odd people crammed into their hall up there, and yeah, it was well run, and it was conducted in a very good spirit, which was good to see. So I wish all of those candidates all the best for their campaigns. The 29th, which was this Monday just passed, we had a risk and assurance meeting. We had the auditors, Deloitte, were present, and we had a discussion around the annual report and the roading valuation, which has been peer reviewed by Aon, and that has been going backwards and forwards for some time, as I understand, and in the process have been finalised now, so we should get the annual report in time for adoption next week. They also talked about the policies for prevention of fraud and corruption. There was a risk management policy, health and safety report, and an outstanding debtors report, which included rates. So all that information is on the agenda and will be in the minutes, which are available on the website if anyone wants to go and have a look. The last ODC meeting for the triennium was held on Tuesday, and we had some workshops following that. And those workshops included reports and discussions on the alternative beach accesses and the Kāwhia and ATSC walls, which is quite a lot of water to go, not so much under the bridge, but past the wall in the meantime. So that's an ongoing issue and will be addressed, I guess, at subsequent meetings and workshops. That was followed by a very well attended and a very well organised farewell function for Mayor Max, for Deputy Mayor Annette, and for Councillor Roy Johnson. All took the opportunity to speak, and was very well emceed by Council's IT manager, Billy, who's displayed an interesting sense of humour on the evening, which went down very, very well, and set the tone for the night. It was a very nice occasion, and I just compliment everyone who was involved in that, and all of the retiring councillors and the mayors. They all received gifts and appreciation of their contributions to the district over many years. And I just take this opportunity to say thank you to the existing board for the work that you guys have done in the last 3 years, Jeff and Richard, Dave and Hinga, and to wish you all the best for the coming triennium. And thank you all. That's it for me.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffries. Good words, thank you. First thing I want to bring up is, are they coming back to finish the job on the trees? Yeah, that's great. No, I had a lot of people. I've had the opposite reaction from you, Dick. I've had a lot of people tell me what a great view.
Oh,
And it's
everyone said that, Dave.
It's good, and that everyone likes it. You know, talk to anyway. Another one I just want to bring up just at the end of the thing here is I think we need to have an update on the nursery at some stage. It's just good we had the last people in there. They were in there for 2 years, and we give them the cheap start. I think it was a couple $1,000 a year, and then after 2 years we decided to take their lease up, and they decided they didn't want to go ahead. So the people in there now have been in there for over 6 years, and we've never reviewed the process.
I will say, board member Harper, is one of the first things on my agenda in our next meeting will be addressing the Kāwhia properties and leases in place.
Okay.
And that will be, can get one more.
Okay, now the other one I want to sort of we're going to ask the board to look at in the new time is this thing with the water meters going in and these water tanks what Vic was sort of getting to, and this is probably more directed to you, I suppose. My understanding is 2014 we had a water shortage quite bad over the year. Part of the cause of that was the guy that had done the maintenance on it drained it, and it never filled up on time for the Christmas holiday. But okay, it made us aware we're losing water. So in between that time of getting the meters, people were required to put tanks in. And there's some inconsistency in the tank thing, is that the first house I built when they came in, we had to put a water tank in, 25,000 litre water tank, and that was to be used to take the pressure off by supplying the toilets and the outdoor tap. Now I've got another guy who lives up the road from me, he's just finished building his house, and he was told he had to put the water tanks in to be back up for the fire
in emergencies like that. Now we're finding that at our stage of doing our sports club here, that they want us to put a 25,000 litre tank in, and that we're only allowed 2,000 litres of the town supply, and the rest has to come off our roof, and we have to put a filtration system and water treatment system in, which I thought the whole point of the water meters going in was to find the leaks, which we seem to have found the bulk, as there was no shortage of water this year. So do you think we should be looking at removing this water tank regulation, or?
Well, if I could.
I suppose I need to ask you, really, Tony.
I can provide clarification for that. So in terms of the sports club and the requirements here, so resource consent's been granted, you know, so that's probably something that's best suggested through the building consent that's currently under this. So it's not a bylaw, it's actually ruled in the district plan, and the rule requires, and I understand it was put back in 2014 when the current district plan was made up with. So the rule does require, for memory, a 25,000 litre water tank to be connected on new builds, and it must be connected to the mains water, and the water in the tank must be potable. So those are the three conditions. We've now got
So when did those conditions come in? Was that in
2014.
So then, let's say I built a house in 2016, and that wasn't in the process. That water was just, they told us in the permit, and was parts of that, but that was just for the toilets and the outside taps. And he's actually got a switch that you can switch it back to the town supply.
So I can't comment on individual applications and implementation of since then. But we've got a situation now where they've got a rule in the plan, and there's probably a couple of things going on. So one is, do we still need the rule? Is it still under the RMA, effective and efficient and appropriate? Those are the tests, I suppose, of the RMA. So I'd be relying on advice from our water manager and also Mark's our infrastructure group manager for that. The advice I've got so far is that it's a good idea to keep redundancy and resilience for new builds in Kāwhia, because we don't know when the next drought's going to come, for example. So the advice I've had, and it's verbal advice, it's not so far, has been probably best to keep the rule in there. The conditions, that might be something we could look at. However, we've now got the government who's issued a plan stop, so we can't legally, we're prohibited from doing any plan changes. We're prohibited from reviewing the plan, district plan, which was on our schedule this year to do, because the RMA has been changed. So Minister Bishop has said, no more plan changes, no more plan reviews at all, so it's prohibited. So we can't change the law. We can't just ignore it. We have to apply it as the RMA says we must. What we could do is, if we get advice in writing from our infrastructure managers to say we can ease off on any consent requirements for it, it doesn't mean that the need to get a consent goes away, but if people apply for a consent, we can put them through a smooth pathway. So the process would be, I'd need that in writing from our infrastructure managers, and so far verbally they said it's probably not a good idea because of the resilience. So that's the situation we've got at the moment.
Okay, so to me, it's more the fact they want the bulk of our water to be off the roof. That, you know, we've got a water meter, we've got all that put in, we were using it all before, everything was fine. But now, because we're rebuilding, we suddenly only allow 2,000 litres of town supply.
Yeah, I'm not across the details, but they'll be through the building.
If I could add to what Tony's put, that this was highlighted to me through, when you mentioned that part of your consent. So I've been talking to Tony about it. It is going to be a work in progress, because I could see the logic of something getting applied for in 2014, but then will a new build for a property here in Aotea, in Kāwhia, that's for a holiday home, will adding 25,000 litre water tank go anyway towards reducing water usage during the summer period? You'll have one house that will have water, and the rest of the town won't. It would be interesting to see how many houses, how many buildings have been built in the 11 period that have actually as affected. And if it's only 10, you know, we've only had a 250,000 litres water storage capacity that the town can't tap into anyway. So yeah, it's a leak. So yes, was it? I can see it would have been good plan change 11 years ago, but now I'm not too sure. And I think it's adding it. It's got to be adding it. I've seen that house next to the fire station, and I get in there, but and you know, it's got to be adding $10,000 to $15,000 to every build. And
I'll probably sorry, I could probably clarify that. So I've had 3 quotes from tank providers. And the cost of installing a $25,000 tank ranges from about $3,000 to $3,500.
That just buy the tank.
That's the tank. That's not to install it, but you're right. There's additional costs to install it, pull the hardware into it.
Yeah, to get a, you can buy a basic system that includes a potable water with two filters for $5 grand. Right? I've had a water tank installed and it cost me twice what it cost me. So mine was $10,000 and that's 5 years ago. So when you look at the earthworks involved in that one next to the Kāwhia fire station, if he got away with $5,000 to put that in, then he's got a cheap water tank. I will say though, Dave, though, if I was in, say, your situation, I would be throwing in a 25,000 litre water tank for fire backup.
But then you don't need a fire backup. You've seen when the place caught fire, they,
But as I'm saying,
two minutes here, they looked into it.
I would put it, I'd put it in, but it doesn't have to be potable. Putting potable in there doubles the cost.
Okay, but I just want a bit more clarification. We'll see a few things on that because, my sister Tanya too. We are looking at a position, even though we won't be purposely building the sports club for as such because it involves a lot of regulation. But once it is up and running, we would like to be looking at presenting the sports club as being the civil defence emergency.
Civil defence centre, I can respond.
Civil defence centre. Yeah, that's what we'd like to be looking at. That's why we're going to go ahead with the water thing anyway. But I just want a clarification for other people. And that also leads me to, I talked to Graham Bunn the other day, and he was going to have a report to send through here. This was 2 meetings ago, but obviously he's hasn't done or said anything.
Report
On applying for funding out of our fund from selling the sections. And
the fought towards what was the funding towards, sorry?
towards the sports club. Yeah, we as a sports club would like to apply for some of that money that's put away.
Okay. So in terms of the civil defence centre, so there's a process to go through for that. So I can absolutely hook you up with Kathy Shaw, who's our regional local.
Yeah, we're not actually coming out. I talked to the architects about it. If we say now we're going to be the civil defence thing, then we have to come up to almost ambulance standard.
Oh, yeah, no, I can clarify that. So not necessarily. So the design builds I've seen at the moment, all that probably is actually required for a civil defence centre is Kathy to do an audit and to say it's good to go. Your build pretty much meets the criteria.
Oh, yeah.
There'd be probably no additional cost to have it as a CDC. There's an opportunity to put solar on it. So we've had from Waipā Networks an offer, I guess, for the sports club to apply for a grant. They said it would be a really good candidate.
Yeah.
At no cost.
We've been looking for folks and checking out.
Yeah, so Waipā Networks would be with connecting with.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Yeah, appreciate it. So yeah, what I've actually said to Graham is, at the time, and it's over 10 years now, since we sold that.
Yeah, that's the old sterilisation of what?
Yeah.
Yeah, sterilisation of what, yeah.
Yeah, and we sold that, and I'm pretty sure, I think it sold at the time for $430, and we got half. Now, I'm sure that's $430, including with plus GST, whatever, but. So if we had half that, I rang up Graham and asked him, I was saying, so that gives us 200K.
Yeah, it's in your.
Balance 201,000 on page 25, eh?
Fund balance. Now, I have to query that a little bit because if we sold it for $430 and we got half, it's $215, and we've had 10 years of interest.
I think it was only 400. That was, I could be wrong there. I thought unless the 430 included GST, which probably is not on that figure.
Okay, so even if it's 400, we got 200.
But we have had something taken out of that too. If you remember, we took some money out of that for something. I just can't remember. It wasn't a lot. I thought it was down to about 190,000 at one stage, but it's come back up with interest.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I can't remember what we.
Yeah, I know we did take some money out, but it was, I can't remember what it was now.
It's something we can look into if you like.
Yeah.
So I've actually asked Graham to prepare a thing, and I'd like to ask the board for the support that we would like to apply for 100K for that money towards our club. Primarily, a few reasons is the costs that went up, or we were going through the bureaucratic process of being mucked around. Costs went up by 40% and timber costs just in 1 year. Because also we'd like to have maybe some help with this water situation and solar situation to make the club suitable for other activities then.
I don't know that, so that's probably something for Graham coming back in the new board.
Could I suggest that, Dave, that you present something officially through the Kāwhia Sports Club to the community board?
Yeah, well, I'll come to it, but I just wanted to get it out there. And as I say, Graham was meant to come with a report. He'd asked me, I'd sort of mentioned to the club that I'd like to, sorry, to the committee here, that I'd like to apply for some of that money briefly. But just not really sort of how much in total, but
Yeah, I don't know, apply for it, apply. You know,
you just
I think-
start the ball.
I think Graham's probably been tied up with the elections too, which is probably why he hasn't been able to get around to this particular one.
I think it's best if you get something officially from the sports club. Because it will, you know, we'd have to have the business cases.
Yeah, it's usually one lead here.
Because then we can start the ball rolling on, that's a significant amount. And a significant amount of a significant fund, but we'd have to make sure that it's invested wisely.
Yeah.
Perhaps could I suggest too, Mr. Chairman, Tony, would you ask Graham to perhaps just give us a reconciliation of how that turnaround one was actually arrived at? You made a note?
Yeah.
And what the previous money that went out was for, I can't remember.
My discussion with Graham came across that he was agreeable, but it was up to the board really.
Definitely is up to Ford. Yeah. Anything else, board member Harper? I'm sorry.
No, that's all for me now. Thank you.
Mine, lost it. No, just very quickly, went to the coronation, the Koroniha, and that was great. It was good to be part of that. It was a huge event, huge event. The trees, you know, that was a big part of what we had to do this year. And I will thank the board for a very courageous decision and for the way they handled everything on the day. Richard, I turned up on the Monday just to make sure everything was okay. You got the harder day because by Tuesday, everyone had figured out what was going on. But generally, I think everyone's agreed it was the right decision. Might have been a hard decision, but it was the right decision. Yes, we did. The board had passed a resolution saying that the larger would be saved for carving and donated to a group in Kāwhia, maybe the fire brigade or the boat club or something for fundraising forward. Unfortunately, some locals had other ideas for that, and there wasn't a lot left. But there is still some of that firewood stored in behind Ross Dockery's yard. So if anyone knows any carvers that want to have a look at what's left of the wood, and then once we've got through that, we'll donate it to a local fireplace, but it's locked up safe and secure. And I have had a chance to talk to some of them, so I think the ones that did it are well aware of the board's feeling. Attended the Kāwhia Alternative Beach Access, which we're going to get a brief out of, and very comprehensive report, Tony. I love your detail.
It was BTW who did it, so I can't take any credit.
Oh, yeah, but you rang them up and said, do it. And you presented it. You know, it's figures I can understand, so it was great to see them there. And the RTS Seawall, which was a confidential workshop, that'll be a work in progress. I had water tank down on my list too, board member Harper, board member Walsh, and that, yes, I will look at that. And on Tuesday, I attended Max's farewell, and the next farewell, and that was a great turnout. Okay. So we tried to match it here, but when there wasn't enough much food here, right? So we had to keep it low numbers. But that's all from me. But I would like to take the opportunity, yes, just to thank the board. 3 years ago, when I was made chair, here we go. But it's been a pleasure. It's been truly has. I mean that. You know, you're a good board, and you know we all have our different opinions. But you know, if we're all yes men, then we wouldn't need a board, eh? We all just agreed to things, you know. And I've turned into a great listener, I would think, you know. And because you members have some good opinions, and every single one of you has Kāwhia at heart, just as I have Aotea at heart, you know.
So we're getting a new board member on, and I know, Annie, you'll have the same passion for this little town. We've got our two little Moanas that we've got here. So yeah, I'm even looking more forward to our next trimester. Truly am. Okay. Moving on to the general reserve, we've had a good discussion about that. So that's just for your information only. So that's sitting there at 2,000. And Kāwhia, thank you for including this in the agendas. I know you're doing it for Oklahoma Community Board too, but not for Oklahoma District. No, they got more money than us, a lot of them. The discretionary fund. So that's just on page 26.
Yeah, that balance, Mr. Chairman, this balance should read 4463 because there was $960 odd that's held over unspent from the previous year, which needs to be added to that. So you've actually got 4463.
Yeah, I'll pick that up and I will.
Yeah.
Has that been agreed to?
Yes, it couldn't go there last month because it had been agreed to, but it got passed by ODC. We have no further requests for being received for funding at this stage. Now the Kāwhia Community Hall Centre charges, so that's been ratified now by Oklahoma District Council. So all our rules and waiver criteria requirements and things like that. So the three groups that are currently using it, or the operation, is Kāwhia Kaiwhara, which is Annie Mahara, and that's going on great guns. I'm part of that now, so thank you for including me in that, Annie. You know, and it's good. It's a good service. You know, there's regularly between 15 and 20 passes given out every week, and it's good. It's good combat. You know? So that ticks along quite nicely. The Kāwhia on page 27, the Kāwhia Order Club, that's expanding. The local policeman and his wife have joined up. So that would have been arresting for a wee while. They had to change their choice of music and things like that when they turned up. But that's growing. That's got some good legs now. And the strength of training. That's our weekly group of super gold card holders that come through here, and they do chair exercises, and that's ticking along quite nicely. But we have a request, and I'm hoping you I know you've read this. I tried to put this through. This came through last meeting, Rolly, but we didn't have a meeting because of the coroner here. But a request for waiver has been received from Rolly Clegg, who is here, to provide music for both live and for the website playlist for our local community. I'm assuming you've read Rolly's letter, okay? But Rolly did this last year, and he did it out in the foyer there, and it was just a good little Wednesday afternoon gathering, and you ran it yourself, and you brought your amplifier down and your bits and pieces, and it ticked along quite nicely in the summertime, didn't it?
I have people, and a lot of singers come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
And, generally, the feedback was that it helped a lot of people's well-being, just to make them happy and have a bit of fun.
Yeah,
Give good confidence to get up and sing.
Now, board members, just to explain, you can sit down, Rolly. Okay. You can sit down if you want, mate.
Well, we've had a lot of people asking, you know, are you going to do it again? And I said, well, I have put a letter in, and we'll see what we say, and so that's where we're at.
Yep, and we'll discuss it now.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Rolly. So just to explain, it's okay, Rolly, have a sit. Rolly runs it out in the foyer there, you know, and it's only literally plugging his amps into the power boxes in here. It will clash with Annie's Kaiwhara, but Annie is going to move her Kaiwhara to the rear doors here, which will be a bonus actually, because then people can come around instead of lining up out there in the main street. They can come around the back here now and grab their kite from around the side there and load it into their car from here rather than having to run. So that might encourage a bit more growth for our car for your kite for. So are there any questions about this request? It's only for a couple of hours, Rolly, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Just the query is toilets. If the toilets are in a good, clean state, I actually don't want people coming into the hall. I just want to stay outside, and it's only that they will use the gents' toilet, which is inside these doors. I don't want children come, don't want anyone interfering with anything, so I keep a close watch on it. As far as cleaning the toilets goes, hopefully I could, just bring some cleaning gear and make sure that they're clean and keep it,
Yeah, well, there's cleaning gear in here, and if part of your proposal is that you'll clean the toilets every Wednesday for us.
I don't. We'll watch that it's not, no one's doing anything.
Yeah, thank you.
Unsupervised.
Questions?
Yeah, look, but also, you're probably better off just to hang a not in use sign on the doors there and direct everyone to the public toilet down there.
Well, that's an idea too.
You just don't give them access to the door.
That's a good idea. Then I could.
I'd rather have
those
it clean.
things shut. Yeah.
We'll sign on the doors.
Yeah.
Member Harper, question?
Yeah.
No?
No.
Councillor Jeffrey's question?
No, I support the application. The only point that I would make, and I think we've raised this before, is that we need to be careful that that we're not opening up the hall to many local organisations for free. We've still got expenses to meet here. And so I don't know, through you, Rolly, is there any chance perhaps of the group offering some sort of a koha from time to time just to offset some costs, or?
We haven't actually got a permanent group, so I do that myself.
I don't want to put it on you personally, but I'm just saying that.
It would have to be on me because we don't always have the same people coming. They're sort of random. But I'd be happy to make a donation if that's needed.
Just it's okay, I'll just run through just so that you're aware. Just part of the conditions and the requirements here is under the board members, it's page 26D. I'll just read them for Rolly's benefit again.
Yep.
Determine that the following criteria be used in assessing any applications from community groups from Kāwhia Community Centre fees and waiver charges. Must be recognised non-profit volunteer within the Kāwhia ART base. I would say Rolly's recognised because we know him from last year, okay? And he's non-profit, and he's definitely Kāwhia based, okay?
Yep.
Must be providing a service that benefits the Kāwhia Aotea communities, health, wellness, youth development, except for the wellness, and youth development. I've seen the young kids here playing their guitars, or even have the old Super Gold card, having a week go on karaoke. And it must be used in the centre on a regular weekly basis. No, and that's the big one. And that's the one that will be our filter. Okay? Must be a recognised regular event. So thank you for that. Thank you, Rolly.
Thank you.
Well, I will move with the comment.
Sorry.
I understand what you're saying, Kit, but I don't think we should expect donation.
No.
At all, or even the thought of one. Otherwise, we should be saying that to every single group that's using it. So we've decided to do waivers, okay? So that means no charge. And so that's where it should sit, as far as I'm.
And I agree.
Because Rolly's going to be piggybacking on the back of and so,
Yeah, point taken. Okay, I will move the motion then that Rolly's Clegg's application to use the foyer of the hall on a Wednesday commencing the 3rd of October now.
Yeah, can that include the tower and the internet?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
From your date next week will be what? 9th or 8th of October?
Yes.
To the 10th of December. The hours will be between 12 and noon on the condition that he liaises with Kāwhia Kai to make sure there's no effect and that the hall, the foyer lives in a tidy condition. Go to seconder?
Yes.
Yeah, seconded by Councillor Jeffries. All those in favour? Aye, against carried. Thank you, board members.
Would we just clarify the time from 12 noon
3,
to 3?
12 to 3, that's what you've asked for, yeah?
Yeah, or earlier, I can.
Did you want later on?
No, this is, not at all. Yeah. Yes.
Right, the resolution register, moving on to page 28. and meeting, the first one, 26/12/21, that a meeting be held with recreational, and that's for the Kāwhia, and that's the development of an asset management plan for the wharf structure is on hold. Staff recommend the resolution be retained on the register. I will recommend that. That will be part of some work that I'll be doing next trimester on Kāwhia properties and the leases and the income and the expenditure that are going out, okay? So I recommend that, that's the Kāwhia recommend that it be retained.
Hey, can I just, have we sorted out the, berthing fees yet?
Yes.
That's all sorted
Yeah,
out, everybody's on board and.
Yeah, that we put the price up by 15%, you know. But once again, that's still, that's just on $1,000 a year for your birthday, so.
Yeah, they were all, I thought they were paying 1,000 before and we were taking it up to 2.
No, they were paying $1,000 including GST. So we made it $1,000 plus GST. Yeah. But that'll be reviewed on a regular basis, and next year, like I say, we, as a board, I'm pushing that is we have a review of all Kāwhia properties, the income and expenditures.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have the ability to review that when those charges, when we discuss it.
Fees and charges, just correct me if I'm wrong, fees and charges are reviewed every year, aren't they, Tony?
If there is any need to update them, we have that ability to do that.
Right. K91, the removal of the Puta Kāwas, the trees, that has been completed. So the recommendation is that K91 be removed. K91 or K107, which is a Kāwhia boat car parking, and we will get a public excluded update today on that. So that's retained. K116, Kāwhia Discretionary Board Fund, Kāwhia Community Board, recommendation, ODC make a recommendation that an update, that we will roll over money, and that's happened. So the recommendation is that that a resolution be removed from the register. We'll have that, right? Yep. K124, Kāwhia Community Centre fees and waiver charges, criteria and requirements, which we've approved. The criteria and requirements are now in place and outlined. So K124 can be removed from the agenda register. So the resolution is that the Kāwhia Community Board approve the removal of resolutions K91, K116, K124 from the register. I'll move that way. I'll second it. Yeah. We'll remember Walsh for the last time. Well done. All those in favour? Thanks, carried. Right. Now. Right. Some days board member Walsh. I might say my words before you start. No, you can say this is board member Walsh has been a valuable part of the Kāwhia Community Board for a few many years, and he's held the role of chairman. I'll leave the rest to you, Dave.
Okay. Firstly, I would like to thank the people who voted for me to represent them as a KCB member and who supported me in this role. 12 years ago, put my name forward for elections. Now decided that after 4 triennials, not the trimesters, but it's triennials, it's time to move on. In this time, I've seen 2 mayors, 2 deputy mayors, 2 CEOs, 4 KCB members that have been and gone, and council staff come and go. I was also chairman for one of the triennials, and also in charge of not only where we have our meeting, or also a change of not only where we have our meetings, but also the frequency of and the live streaming of our meetings, which has had a positive effect on ratepayers being better informed, although at a more financial cost. My biggest belief from this time is that we, as an organisation, are somewhat toothless. And this was pointed out to me by Peter Scott a few years ago. We can make recommendations, but it really is up to the ODC who has the final decision. My first triennial was a look and learn experience, and early on in my second trimester, I, along with Hinga, went to an LGNZ workshop in Dunedin, where they promoted the importance of community boards, as we were elected by our local people to represent them, and our voices and decisions were important and should be listened to by our governing body. However, in my opinion, this has not always been the case, as there are regulations and that we are learning all the Second point I would like to elaborate on is what I call the elephant in the room, and that's the bureaucratic process, which seems to take forever. I've no budgeted costs, but I'll say this in regards to a few issues we face. The trees. 10 years ago, we made a decision to remove the trees, leading to more reports and more reports. Okay, it's done now. But 6 years ago, we discussed berthing fees at the wharf. It took 6 years to come through after report after report. We have talked about the boat ramp and parking on numerous occasions. We've had 6 days, and still awaiting an outcome. Part of my thing, I'll just diverse on that a little bit. We talked about the parking and the council saying, all the ones that have been down there in the discussions, or what do they want? We don't know what they want. Well, what they want is for someone to make them an offer. So to put a stake in the ground and say, well, look, okay, we'll give you this or we'll give you that, you know. They hadn't had an offer from Te Puni Property to put a team on it and act on their behalf. I'm just waiting to see. And a part of that bureaucratic process, we had 6 to 8 meetings, taking a period of 6 months with staff just to renew our sports club lease. After being told it won't be an issue, we'll just turn it over, which didn't happen. And they actually tried to take our insurance money. The bureaucratic process hampers heaps of things, I believe, in our district here. And, my last comment is be about our rate increases. I feel very disappointed that in my last year of the community board, that my rates actually went up in real money from 2.6 3 years ago to 3.9. So I had a 50% rate increase, along with a lot of other people in town. It might be a percentage, 10%, 15%, but 2.6 and 3.9 over 3 years is 50%. And I know we've got a lot of pensioners in this town that are struggling with that, and any future increases that may be on the go. But overall, I would say I've enjoyed working with you guys and being here and trying to be a representative for our citizens here. I have to say a lot of our ratepayers are vocal, but not wanting to come to any meetings or any things to actually improve their situation. So I'll try to act on their behalf.
We'll throw their hat in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd just like to say thank you, everybody. Thanks for supporting me, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to be here representing our town. Cheers.
Well, before I move on to the official board presentation for board member Walsh, is there any other one in the room that wants to say a few words about our esteemed departing board member?
Oh, just want to say, I still think the United Nations is a good for us, David.
Well, we're following you. I push that you in, but.
Anyone
But
else?
I've enjoyed the company. Enjoyed the company.
Councillor Jeffrey.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Dave, hey, thanks for everything you've done, mate, over the last 12 years and for your involvement with the community. You know, taking over that thing with the sports club's been a good thing, and you're doing a good job up there, mate. So thank you. Keep that going. And we haven't always seen eye to eye over the years, but hey, you know, we're still friends, I hope. Yeah. And I always remember a quote, and I think it was JFK who said it, that if two people agree on everything all the time, you can be sure that only one of them's doing the thinking. So I think the fact that we haven't agreed all the time, it's been healthy, and we've had some good debates around some pretty sort of meaty issues too over that time. So thank you, Dave. I've appreciated your company and your input into the board. So all the best.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Oh, good. Hey, just on behalf of Kāwhia community, just, yeah, that's a sincere thank you for your role over the last years. You know, it can at times it can be an onerous task to do. You know, I'm safely popped over there at Aotea, I don't have to show my face at the pub and the boat club and all that sort of bits and pieces. But I know you've been a strident supporter of the direction that this community board needs to take at times, And yes, it may have taken, 6 years for the Kāwhia trees to come down, but they eventually came down, and it came down, on the basis of your backing and knowledge. So, you can give yourself a big tick for that, and your persistence with some of the other things around this area, Things take time, and I've been certainly a lot more involved in the mechanics of the local government over the last 3 years, and I can appreciate, what's involved in getting things up and running. But yes, things can be slow, but there are ways of speeding things up as well. And you can be an expert at that. Look at what you've done with the sports club. So I know you need to take a break now, so you can focus on that. And I know you're going to end up. And I imagine if it hadn't been you and Jude on that committee when that sports club had burned down, imagine where it would be now.
We both actually came in after.
Yeah. But I mean, now, you've taken it over, you grabbed it right the scruff of the neck and you've done it. So sincerely, Dave, it's when you said that, you really wanted to relinquish the role of chair so you could focus on a sports club. I thought, right, let's see how we can work with this. And it was a pleasure. It was a true pleasure. If you guys are the footy team, you take me out every week. You're a good bunch of buggers in buggeries. Delete that. But with that, Dave, I just got a small presentation here from Kāwhia Community Board. And it's just a wee thing, Dave. I know you're a fisherman, and it's very appropriate. It is from our local arts group here, and it's called Gone Fishing. Okay? So I'll have that on me all day. Yes, it's really about that. You're going to spend a lot more time fishing. Well, maybe once you've got to see bunch of it, maybe once you've got the sports stuff done. David, thank you very much. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Before I close the meeting, I'd just like to, we've got the esteemed presence for the last time for the marvellous Mayor Max and Annette, who's been part of this Kāwhia Community Board for a long time, both as the representative on the Kāwhia Community Board. Annette, your involvement goes back a long way, in both in Kāwhia and in Aotea. When you think of the discussion that we're having on Tuesday, there was only really 2 people in that room, plus one or a few engineers that were actually there at the start. And it was good that I could sort of cross the room from the other one that was there when that whole process began. So thank you very much for that. So just on behalf of the Kāwhia Community Board, thank you so much for all your input in there, and your representation of Kāwhia to the road. Okay, so just a little thing. Look, that name is broken now. It's a little thing. There's a few things now. Still a little thing. Oh no! Yeah, no. You want to say a few words before I present?
I'm not sure that some of the representation is more through family. Because we had family here in Uparo and around on the other side. Since the 1900s, and my sister-in-law married into the Sophie family, so that's what's brought me out here for the last 50 years or so. And brother-in-law was part of the building project on some seaboard, but that was not really association. But certainly, I have taken a turn at the representative here, and it's been good that the Kāwhia Community Board role has brought me out in another role aside from having known it as part of the family. And I've enjoyed meeting new people and the residents here as well.
Move on to Mayor Max. And it's great to see you here, Max, okay? I'm glad you recovered from a very, very active Tuesday. Assuming they extracted every pound of flesh out of you for your last bit of your salary, and I hope there's still payroll by the next day. But it was a magnificent farewell to Mayor Max on Tuesday. And it was just good to see the spread of community that were in there just to say goodbye to Max and all the hard work that he put into Otahonga and Kāwhia. When I was looking at that photo montage that they had rolling through there, you know, I was recognising a lot of Kāwhia in the background scenery for those things. So you haven't been a mayor of words. You've been actually been a mayor of action out here. So on behalf of Kāwhia community boards, I know we can be the troubled child at times, our little board out here, but this is real New Zealand, and it's fun to be here, okay? And it's fun having you, and it's fun having you as a leader, Max. You know, I've learned a lot from you, even at my age. And so the young'uns taught the old one quite a bit. So Max, if you want to say a few words before I give you something, that's.
I think that's the bottom stage. Look, thanks, Jeff. It's been a heck of a privilege being the mayor of Otahonga for so long. And I think when I first came on council, if you think back to it, there's a Tikaro ward and there's a Kāwhia ward, but the two separate entities. And we've seen the challenges like this, the amalgamation of the two wards in 2013, I think it was. To be correct, or yeah. And the challenges out there, of course, your population declines or it grows bigger and closer to the bigger centres in town. And I think we're seeing the challenges of rural and certainly coastal New Zealand, and the cost of servicing these towns is getting more and more expensive. And like I share your sentiments, Dave, it's rates increases out here are huge. And each time we see the cost that Kāwhia and Aotea have to incur, we're finding that there's more and more district-wide funding to support these small communities. So there's people out at Otahina that are making your life even more palatable than what it would be if you had actually supported yourselves. So it's a big challenge. Kāwhia and Aotea take a disproportionate level of council time because they are challenging communities. But you know, we've mentioned this part of our district as being the jewel of the crown, and it truly is. You know, you come out here and drive past the harbour and you look across, you know, the shimmering waters, and it's just a beautiful place to be. But they come with challenges, as you know, Jeff. You know, and those challenges are ongoing. And the other, probably the big challenge for local government is the broken system, the funding mechanism that is not fit for purpose anymore, and the real challenge that we have. So I think until central government picks up its act and starts looking after the preservation of our communities, then it's going to be a challenge. The other ones we have out here is, you're right. I mean, why has the boat ramp taken so long? When you're dealing with people, and you're dealing with multiple owners, and you're dealing with, like you talked to Graham Bunn, the conversation about the boat ramp has been going on for 25 years, I think, it could be 30 years now. And we're getting closer to a resolution, but we never seem to get there because everything costs, and then it's another cost back on communities. That aside, it's been an absolute privilege being the mayor of Otahonga, probably, we believe, the best small rural council in New Zealand. We're leaving it in good stead, and it's up for the next lot of elected members to keep things going and keep the momentum kicking forward. So I'll sit back, I'll watch. I was just watching a bit of this meeting live stream on my phone. Never actually looked at a Kāwhia Community Board live stream, so who knows, maybe I won't do any work at home anymore. I'll just look at council and community board meetings. But thanks very much, Jeff. It's been an absolute privilege.
And a little bit haven't forgotten about you long. And this is just, it's colourful. So it's colourful and it's appropriate. It's called gone fishing. Okay? Yeah. Yvonne, the floor is yours. Yvonne just wants to say a favourite word about her favourite men.
Well, I often know I've had a senior citizens club. Max has come twice and spoken. He's always supported the community. I've been to primary school breakups. Max has come. He's actually been wonderful in the community, and I've almost 50 years younger. And give you a break.
One of the perks of being a mayor, eh, Max? Eh?
Not only get paid, but get it reality.
I'll just before I close out, thank you, Yvonne. Okay,
Thank you for letting me talk.
well, that's okay. Just before we call on Annie to close the meeting. I'm sincere when I say I mean this. I've had fun for the last 3 years. We've all achieved things as a board. We've achieved things together. 3 years ago, we might have been, playing different positions, but I'm pretty sure we're all playing in the same pack now. We're all forwards, we're all hard grafters, and we're all heading in the same direction. Dave, we'll still be calling on you for some of your guidance and bits and pieces over the year. Annie Mahara, thank you for sticking your hand up to replace Dave. I know you will be a valuable addition to this team. I mean that sincerely. Okay? You've got a little Mariah over there that's growing, getting bigger and better, and there's things that the Otaronga District Council, can look at over there and maybe help you out, So you're a good, strong little community, and you can get stronger with good friends. Okay. So with that, I'd like to call on Annie just to say a closing karakia, and then I'll close the meeting.
Ia tau, ia tātou katoa, te ate whai o tō tātou araki o ihu kraiti. Me te aroa atua, me te whiwhinga tahitanga ki te wairua tapu. Ake. Amen.
Amen. And with that, and it's 5:07, we officially close this meeting, and the meeting is closed. Amen. Kia ora.